Um, Mr. IDAEWOR, Honorable IDAEWOR, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Well, as the APC chairman in United Kingdom, what has been your achievement so far?
Well, I think in talking of achievements, let us start and look at what we have been able to do as a party. On the fact or the basis of what a political party exists for. As a branch of APC, United Kingdom, our role and our duty is to bring national exposure and international dimension to issues that affect our party. So, for instance, APC United Kingdom successfully working with our leaders in Nigeria got our party registered into and accepted into a consultative status or member of the Socialist International. And during the last presidential campaign, 2015, we were, because our chapter that ensured that all the games and tricks that were being played by the then party, by the then ruling party PDP, were exposed and brought into international attention. For instance, the fake report they authored and produced that labeled APC and her leaders as Islamists and Janjaweed and all sorts of religious bigotry. It was from here that we first discovered that there was actually a well document written by the Bo Group, which is a think tank here in the UK. And it was on the back of that of our finding of that document that we wrote one of the first of 4 protest letters to the then British Prime Minister David Cameron, and that took and engaged international attention and helped to ensure that the truth about our party and her leaders came to light. So these are just 2 of the things that we are able to do. We contributed extensively with during the policy stage of the writing of the APC manifesto and policy documents.
Okay, thank you very much. Talking about APC in general, you see, looking at our political situation in Nigeria, you find out that some members of PDP try to drive into APC, and some members of APC try to drive into PDP. How do you find this transportation system, I may call it, into diving from one party to the other? Because I want to believe each party have a policy. If an APC person has its own policy and the PDP person has its own policy, what's the relationship between the PDP and the APC, one trying to deviate into the other person and the other one trying to go into the other party?
What is happening in the Nigerian political environment should not surprise students of politics or watchers of the party system. The reason is this: the current democracy or republic that we are enjoying is a very young one.
Yeah.
Nigeria returned to multi-party democracy in 1998. Which one we are currently running. We have had numerous military incursions into politics, and these military interventions have done great damage to the evolution and maturity of multi-party democracy in Nigeria. So, what we do have at the moment is a situation where the number of the parties really are just trying to evolve into the kind of party politics that you just spoke about.
Yeah.
APC as a political party is a social democratic welfarist party. It's a people-centered party.
Yeah.
PDP, when you look at their manifesto and you look at the character of the actors, in time past in PDP, it is, a capitalist-oriented, business-driven political party. That is when you look at it. Now, you asked about this movement between both parties. And that is because a number of politicians at this point in time in Nigeria's history are not involved in politics for the purposes of ideology.
Yeah.
Or
is that not how what politics is supposed to be about? Ideology.
Exactly. You know, ideology that is people-centered, country-centered, business-centered. You don't have that at the moment. What you have are people who are involved in politics for the sake of power. In other words, a number of our politicians are only interested in the power aspect of politics without a commitment to the utilization of power for the common good. So it should not surprise anyone at all that at the moment, at this point in time, what we have is a situation where politicians move between parties. It's only going to take time that parties such as APC will mature and their true colors will begin to show. On paper, documents were handed. A good majority of members who are in APC are people who have come from social democratic background. They have come from the welfarist political background. So eventually the party is going to mature into this, and this will become apparent. This is what we're actually angling for. That it should be the case that the ideology of our party, APC, will become apparent to Nigerians. And it is the duty of our party to begin to educate Nigerians about what our core ideology is. It is the duty of our party and the leaders of our party in government to consistently ensure that the manifesto of the party is displayed to Nigerians.
Because that is one of the greatest problems we think we have in our Nigerian politics today. Because you see, you find out that people who are into politics don't have any ideology. You talk to a PDP person, he tells you that he gives you job, he gives you road. You talk to an APC person, he tells you the same thing. You become confused. Then what is the party all about? Why instead of this 2-3 multi-party system of government, why not just introduce one party system of government? If we know that at the end of the day, it is said it's 10 attempts we are still going to have. Take example of what just happened between Abubakar recently. He was a member of PDP. He went to APC. From APC, he now went to PDP. Is that how Nigerian politics is supposed to be? And we are about 20 to almost getting to 30 years in democracy today. Taking an example of other countries like America, for example, if you are a Democrat, you know you are a Democrat because you have the policies of the Democratic politician. And if you are a Republican, you know you are a Republican. At the end of the day, you know who and what you are going to vote for. If you are, understand? So how is Nigeria going to solve such problems so that at least everybody have his own ideology to know that this is what I want and this is what I want to do?
This is the reason I said that it is the duty of our party, the APC, to consistently educate Nigerians, think about our manifesto, speak about our manifesto, demonstrate our manifesto all the time to Nigerians. Now, if we take a step back and recall the Second Republic, the UPN manifesto, for instance, was clear to all Nigerians. Free education.
Thank you.
These were consistently spoken about. They were sang about. This is what our party should be doing. It should not be the case that a minister in this government on the platform of our party does not speak about our manifesto and talk about what they are.
If I want to trip in a minute,
please. And therefore, once we have a party that adopts that philosophy to leadership, it's only be a matter of time for other political parties to begin to fall in line. It will only be a matter of time for Nigerians to begin to demand what party manifesto is all about. It will only be a matter of time for Nigeria to come to understand that there is a difference between political parties. And whilst we were speaking, you mentioned something about one party state. I personally don't necessarily think that one party state is a bad thing. Okay? It's how it's done. China, for instance, operates a one party
system.
but they have ensured that their party encompasses, takes in, inculturates all members of the Chinese community who want to involve in politics.
Yeah.
The political party exists for a purpose. The political party, in my opinion, exists to socialize. It exists to educate. It exists to mentor, to produce leaders that will be people that will demonstrate what a party stands for.
Okay, I think I'll leave my colleagues for. I will come back to more questions on this issue. Let me leave my colleague to ask one or two questions before I go more on that what we just discussed now. Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you.
If I may ask, who is Dr. Philip APC?
Well, you are looking at Dr. Philip IDAEWOR sitting in front of the camera.
Yeah.
We want our viewers to know you better. I for once want to know you.
Well, I am a Nigerian by birth. By profession, I'm a medical practitioner. I trained and graduated from the University of Benin Medical School. Post-graduation, I worked as a lecturer at the University of Benin Medical School for a couple of years. And before I moved to the United Kingdom, where I currently live and practice, I still practice as a medical practitioner. I have been involved in the Nigerian political process for a bit of time, both as a doctor leader. I was at the time the president of the Resident Doctor Association in my hospital, and also was a national leader of the National Association of Resident Doctors, and officer of the NMA at state level. I have been and was an active member of the Movement for National Reformation, which for a long time was championing and campaigning for the restructuring of Nigeria, and therefore was an active player in the PRONACO at the time. So I think that both on the professional plane and my involvement in public life, that is basically what it's been like, except there are specific questions that you want to ask.
Let's leave that aside. I was thinking you would tell us where you came from, particularly the states.
Well, I'm a Nigerian.
I know you are a Nigerian. From which state, sir?
Well, I'm from Edo State, but I have been very fortunate that I've lived outside of the state of my birth. In my growing up years, I grew up in Lagos and Ogun State. I had my primary and secondary schools in Lagos, and I had my A-levels in Ogun State. I did my national service in Katsina State. During my active years in the doctor's colleges, I had the privilege of traveling quite widely across Nigeria. So that is a reason I said I'm a Nigerian, because I feel that I have colleagues, friends who are very close to me from across Nigeria. And it is my view that whilst we have all the stresses in our country at the moment, we should be emphasizing the power in our diversity as a people. We are actually very fortunate to have such a diverse coloration to our country. Unfortunately, we are not celebrating that diversity. We are not working hard enough to build on that, and we are not passionate enough to ensure that as a country, as a people, we harvest the best from this these diverse stretches of humanity, of culture, of environment that we enjoy in our country. But yeah, that is basically my socio-cultural background.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Philip APC. You are the current APC chairman in United Kingdom.
Yes.
Can you please tell us the formation of APC in United Kingdom?
Well, just as in Nigeria, APC UK was formed from the coming together of several various parties. Now, with specific reference to the UK, we ensured that the emergence of the party in the UK followed strictly the guidelines that were relayed to us back in 2013 or 2014 by the then interim NEC as NEC of our party. There was a guideline. I mean, from the very beginning, our party showed leadership in how to ensure that the diaspora chapters were formed according to certain guidelines. So for APC UK, that was what we did. We ensured that we followed those guidelines strictly. We ensured that we didn't deviate from them, regardless of the pressures to deviate from them and do things the way some people like to do things, which they refer to as the Nigerian way. We insisted that if laws are made, they must be obeyed. If guidelines are given by leaders, those guidelines must be enforced. So, in terms of how that impacted on us, you understand, therefore, that there are going to be people who will not feel entirely happy about that insistence. But we ensure that the guidelines given to us by the national leaders of our party were strictly enforced. And that is what we did do, and that is how we are still operating.
Thank you very much. Before I pass you over to my colleagues, let me ask you this question. How do you combine politics with your medical field?
I think it's a matter of self-discipline. I mean, you can, if you are interested in people, if you are interested in seeing to the development of your community, you will have to ensure that you live a certain pattern of life. It's up to you what you wish to do with your time. We all have 24 hours in a day, and therefore, if you are disciplined enough and you partition your time enough, you should be able to do your professional job, and at the same time also make time to contribute your own quota to the development of our community. That is number one. Number two is to learn the art of working with people. No man can do all things. No man has the skills to be an expert in all fields. No one has the wisdom in all situations to deal with all things. Therefore, if we learn, or if you learn to work with others, you will find that the burden is better shared. So those are the two philosophies I adopt. I separate my professional work strictly from my community engagement. I see my involvement in politics as part of my community engagement side of my life. What it does mean is this: that I have very little time for what I would call social activities, partying and the sort. I have very little time for such, because in between these, I have to be mindful of my family and ensure that the little time I have, I spend it at home with them. But this on the second side, as I said, I make sure that my colleagues in the ESCO here, I work with them very closely. I tend to think that you should lead a collegial leadership. You have a collegial leadership style. Allow people with capacity to take ownership of different strands of running and managing a political party. So, and I think that is basically what I do. So I allow anyone in the party here who displays the potential for leadership, who I think has the capacity, they are allowed to own ideas and projects. If somebody comes up to me with a particular idea, I want them to lead on it. I don't want to take it on and deliver it myself, or neither do I want somebody else to take it over and run it. I want the person who has come up with that idea to own that project and deliver on it. That way, you know that the man with the vision is able to commit to it. I think that has helped me tremendously in getting things done.
Dr. Philip, thank you very much. Do you know why I ask such question?
No.
Okay. I've had people saying politics is a dirty game. So I was just thinking, a medical doctor of your type, what are you doing with politics? I don't know if you've had people say politics is a dirty game.
Well, I mean, you are right. I hear that all the time. I hear people who tell me that if you have to be involved in politics, you have to understand the game of intrigue.
How do you feel when they tell you such thing?
Yeah, but my response usually is, why must it be so? If the reason our country is not moving forward, the reason our country appears to be stagnated, is because our political life for a very long time has been dominated by individuals who should have no business in leading us. How can you have a country with so much human resource capital be where we are as a people, as a country? We have no business be where we are at this point in time. The reason we are where we are is because the Nigerians who should have ensured that they step forward into leadership have taken a back seat because they don't want to be labeled as being involved in the murky or dirty waters of politics. Every country that you see today doing well have always ensured that some of their best, are encouraged early enough in life to get on the road of involvement in politics through mentoring, through early participation in parliamentary work, and by working in the office of a politician and learning the ropes early. That is why we are having young leaders in the West, for instance. These young children, these young people are made or are encouraged and taught the idea of what leadership is and its impact on community. So you have people aged 16, 15 who are already young members of political parties. And by the time they are in the universities, they are spending time in the offices of members of parliament. And by the time they are graduating, they are doing time on internship in the offices of parliament and working the halls of parliament. And therefore, you will find a young person of 21, 22, they already have gained up to 6, 7 years experience in political minefield. And they are therefore ready to step forward through the political party system. Again, this is what we have to always emphasize in our politics in Nigeria. It is this, that in a multi-party democracy, the political party is perhaps the most important institution of the state. It is not outside of the party, because it is the political party that produces the leaders that will govern the country. And again, if you took a look of most of the governments in the West, this is what happens. The leaders of nations that are doing well emerges through the system, the organ of disciplined political party structures. Even in China, that is why by the time a person is put forward to run for an office, the person has been trained in the art of multitasking, in the art of people management, in the art of patience, in the art of governance, so that on top of their professional life, they have gained the extra skill of managing people. To manage people is a difficult task. It should be an art and a science that people are trained in through mentoring, through watching older people do it. This is what we don't do too well in Nigeria, and that is why the place is failing, because people simply jump into politics because they have made money. The fact that somebody has done well in business does not mean that person will do well as a politician.
Yeah, you are right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Philip IDAEWOR, Chairman APC chapter in United Kingdom. Let me pass you over to my colleague.
Good evening, Honorable Philip IDAEWOR. I see you talk politics and a medical doctor. I say it's very interesting. If I might want to ask, why APC? Why is your interest? Why APC? Why did you really take APC as a party, the one you really choose to become?
Well, because all my life of being involved in politics, I've always believed that the people matter. The people should come first. The welfare of the people, the welfare of the citizens should come first.
I believe that is the reason why APC is a choosing one you took as a party.
Absolutely, because the core philosophy of APC is that of social democracy, welfareism, and people-centered. APC is a people-centered party. Don't mind what people talk about.
Yeah.
If you look at the core essence of our party, that is what we are about. That is what APC represents, and that is why people like me, will be in the party. That is why people like me will join the party. That is why I cannot go and join PDP or any party that does not have this essence or values at the heart of what they are propagating or practicing.
Yeah. Okay, looking at the political trend in Nigeria now, you find out that this is the era of politics, this is the era of electioneering and things like that. What are your? Do you really agree about the president Buhari coming for the second time?
Of course, firstly, Mr. President is in Nigeria, has the right to contest for office within the bounds of the constitution.
Yeah, but people are concerned about his health, about his age, about he's not too active in what the changes people are clamoring for. He is not there he has not been able to provide such promises he gave to the Nigerians.
Apart from that, the promises they gave before they came on board, Nigerians are saying they will not be able to provide those promises.
So what is your opinion about it?
Okay, well, let's take the questions one by one.
Thank you.
One, about his age.
Yeah.
Mr. President's age.
Yeah.
2, about Mr. President's health.
Yeah.
3, about the promises that he made.
Yeah.
During the 2015 campaign.
About changes, work, many things.
Now, let us take them one by one.
Yeah.
On the issue of age.
Yeah.
All right. I hear a lot of people talk about young people should be given opportunity into leadership.
Yeah, because this is the era of youth.
Let us go back to the point I made earlier. How many of these young people have been trained and prepared for leadership?
But
how many of them have been mentored? How many of them are ready for leadership? That is where we are starting from. Let's go further. Yeah. We have a number of young people that have been in government in Nigeria since the current democracy return that have done exceedingly badly. Extremely badly. In fact, their behaviors have been so awful in terms of how corrupt they were, in terms of their moral compass and display to the public, that actually you will not be talking about allowing young people to take over power. Some of the young people, I don't want to mention names, that have been in the corridors of power in Nigeria, you will think that they need to be subjected to psychiatric examination.
Because they abused the power, the opportunity.
Yes, and they were young. Most people I'm talking about are people who were 40s and under.
Yeah.
They are young. All right? So that's the first thing. So for me, age should never be something that should exclude people from office. It should be performance.
Even so meaning if somebody is 80, 90, if he can perform, he's welcome.
Excuse me, China, how old was Comrade Xi Jinping when he became the president of China? And he, at the age of over 70, came in and transformed China completely and totally. The opening up of China and what China has become today was engineered and driven by a man who was not a young man. But he, Comrade Xi Jinping, had grown up within the party, had suffered, has walked in, has been ingrained with the ideology of the party. But on top of that, he has spent considerable period of his time in the diaspora. Lived for a long time in France. Lived in the US. he spent a lot of time outside. So he understood the concept of the modern world, the emerging world, the market economy. And he was willing to adopt workable, market-driven economies and embed them into the Communist Party that he led. And that was what opened China up. This year, China is celebrating the 40th year of opening up. He was a young man. He was a young person.
But don't you think? Because I believe in every profession. You are a medical doctor, and I believe in every profession there is always a retirement age in every profession. Don't you think politics equally is applicable in this situation? At least, even a teacher, a civil servant have a retirement age. A medical doctor, for example, there are age you will get to, you will have to retire and either give to your son who is a doctor, who perhaps might be a doctor, or somebody else, because there will be an age you cannot really function anymore. Don't you think? Don't you think in politics that equally is involved in politics age?
I mean, Ronald Reagan of the United States, how old was he when he became president?
Ronald Reagan. I can't really recall how old he was when he was the president.
Yeah, he was in the 70s. I live in the UK. We have members of House of Parliament who are nearly 80.
Yeah.
Sir, doctor, please hello, doctor.
The point I am making is this. Involvement in community leadership, which essentially, actually, politics is all about, to be based on the virality, on the vitality, on the strength, the ability of the individual concerned. It should not be about numerical age.
Okay.
Doctor.
It should not be numerical age.
Okay.
Hello, doctor.
Yes.
I don't know if you agree with me when you were giving your analysis talking about corrupt youth that have tasted power in Nigeria. And you made mention of China and Reagan.
Yeah.
At old age, at 70, became the president of United States. That brings me to the question I asked someone before. Education and integrity. I don't believe in whether the person is young or the person is old. And you made mention of some members in parliament in United Kingdom. I believe it because of the integrity they have. That is why they are still there. But in our own country, these politicians, most of them don't have integrity. We are not talking about the youths or talking about the other ones. What we are saying is, do these people have integrity as politicians?
Well, that brings us back to the point that I'm still pushing at. That is this. I would say that I have been fortunate to work with young people, to work with old people, very old people. And one thing that I have come away with is this. If you are going to be a good community leader, your life should demonstrate it.
Of course.
There should be discipline, self-discipline. There should be the manifestation of humility. Now, for you to attain some of these character traits in public life, you need to have had the exposure, the experience, the mentoring to understand that you are not going to be successful with power in your hands if you are not self-disciplined. Because power is an intoxicant.
Yes.
You give power to somebody who suddenly understands and sees that he can do a lot of things by simply speaking. They will abuse it if they have not been trained in their minds to understand the concept of humility and self-discipline. And this is the problem that we are having. Now, why do I say this? It clearly shows the disconnect between our traditional values as Nigerians and Africans and multi-party democracy as we practice. A lot of the things that our politicians are displaying, are doing, if our traditional values were to be brought back into reality, many of these people will not try those things. They will not be able to be leaders in their own communities if we were to live according to our traditional values. Because our traditional values in most of our societies emphasizes the concept of discipline, the concept of honesty, the concept of humility. That is what most of our cultural values emphasize.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Philip IDAEWOR, APC chairman in United Kingdom. Let me ask you this question before we go on a short break. Is APC recognized by the Nigerian Embassy in United Kingdom?
What? You mean APC UK?
Okay, let me use UK. Is it recognized by Nigerian Embassy?
It is not the duty of the High Commission to recognize APC as a political party. As a political party, we can have a relationship with them, but it's not their duty to recognize the party, because they are here to represent the Nigerian government.
So how are APC members faring in the United Kingdom?
That what?
How are the members faring, APC members?
I mean, they are faring like all members of the party. Of course, it was one of the questions that you asked earlier, which we have not had time to deal with yet. Yeah. People worked very hard to ensure that this government got into power, and the expectations were very high, and therefore people are daily monitoring how the government is doing. Some are happy with the government, some are not so happy, some are not happy. So, in terms of how members of the party are responding to the state of affairs or how they are doing, that is precisely it. As members of our party, of APC, people came into the campaign with different expectations. As I said, some people's expectations have been met or fulfilled. Some people's one are not. So obviously, we are not going to have a uniformity of mindset at this point in time, 3 years into the government of APC. All right, but I think it's about assessment of why people came into politics. Okay, and again, this is an issue that I tend to raise with people. When you join the political trade, what was your reason? Did you join politics because you thought that once you get into politics, you will have opportunity to partake of the national cake?
Don't you think that's one of the reasons why people join politics in Nigeria?
Well, that may be one of the reasons, but I think that is a wrong perception.
Because you find that every politician still do things.
That is actually why I deliberately raised it. Because you should be, look, to join politics for the purposes of being in government is not wrong.
Because you see, why I'm saying this is that when you see political problems in Nigeria, people killing themselves, fighting over a position, you begin to ask, why is this so? Why is this happening? Why can somebody who wants to serve wants to kill somebody for him to be able to serve?
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's a valid question to ask. It's a very valid question, and that is the point to ask people all the time. Why are you involved in politics? Yeah. Are you involved because you want to get into government, whether through an elective route or an appointment route? Sure. Are you involved in politics because you want to be getting government contracts? Yeah. All right. Are you involved in politics because you simply want to see the transformation of your country or of your community? Why are you involved in politics? And I think that we have to be honest as individuals to be able to answer this question to ourselves. Yeah. Once people are able to deal with clarity the answer to these questions, it becomes easier for them to deal with how their government in power performs. It is the inability to understand why people are in government in politics that causes problems. It's a question we must ask ourselves. It's a question I have to ask myself. It's a question that anyone who wants to get involved in Nigerian politics must ask themselves. That is the only way.
If this problem has been identified, as a politician, which I know maybe in the nearest future you might want to vie for a public office, if this problem I want to be rectified, what are the solutions to stop these political brutalities in our country, Nigeria? So that at least when somebody is contesting, he's knowing that he's coming to serve, not to come and embezzle.
I think that personally, I believe that the solution lies with the political parties.
Yeah.
I don't believe that the solution lies with governments. Okay, whether the executive arm or other arms of government, I believe that the solution lies with the political parties. It is the political parties should actively take on their true status and true role or true identity in making sure that nobody wearing or carrying their badge or flying their flag. Flying their flag for a political office at whatever level.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody going through that or presenting themselves should do so without being thoroughly assessed. The political party is the institution that should assess individuals who want to contest.
Meaning that anyone that comes into a political party must be properly screened before coming into the party.
Even if you are inside the party, but the moment you identify yourself and you want to contest for an office, you should, at least in my opinion, within the the present Nigerian context, should be thoroughly screened by the party. The party should refuse to present candidates who will not be able to emphasize and deliver on the party's manifesto. They should refuse to present candidates whose mental stability is in doubt.
Yeah.
They should refuse to present candidates whose character
is
does not meet the expectations of the core values of the political party. The solution lies with the political party. And if governments want to deal with the problems of political rascality in Nigeria, governments should ensure that they help to strengthen the political parties through education, through incorporation of ideals and values and ideology. They should make sure that the political party institutions are strong.
Okay.
Not just about APC, all Nigerian political parties. This is the way you screen out dangerous criminals from stepping forward to lead your country.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I will leave Mr. Owens to ask a question if he.
Thank you very much, Dr. Philip IDAEWOR, Chairman, APC chapter in United Kingdom. You are the current chairman of the APC in United Kingdom. What is your relationship with the national body in Nigeria?
Excellent, it's good.
So what is your...
I have a good relationship with my leaders.
Yeah. So what contribution did your chapter in England did in the 2015 election that brought President Buhari into power? What was your contribution?
Well, I mean, I referred to that at the beginning. APC is a very young party. And when APC was formed, the first thing that the then ruling government of PDP did was to try and demonize the party. They came out with all slogans calling APC a Janjaweed party, calling leaders of the party as Boko Haram supporters and all that, as an Islamic party, as a party that was intent on Islamizing Nigeria. So their core aim was to demonize the party, demonize the leaders, and blacklist APC in the minds of Nigerians. That was the first thing they did. Now, for us in the United Kingdom, we saw that very quickly, and we began to seek to search, because we began to find out that in the West, for instance, in the European Parliament, we noticed that some MEPs were actively mouthing those same message or messaging. So we wanted to find out why. And we dug up and found that there was actually a document in circulation produced by the Bo Group. The Bo Group is a think tank in the United Kingdom. And in that document, all the terminologies I just used were there. But it was supposed to be a piece of research, which was a useless piece of paper because it was a clipping together of newspaper clippings from Nigeria.
Okay.
When we got that document, we wrote a letter of protest to then British Prime Minister David Cameron.
Yeah.
And we fixed an appointment and met with then Justice Minister. So to lay down a protest, we are members of the party. We live in the United Kingdom. Some of us are citizens of this country. You cannot tell us that the party that we support in our home country is an Islamic party.
Yeah.
All right. So
okay.
As the
by
chair,
that action, a good number of the members of British Parliament understood where we were coming from, and they took it upon themselves to organize a program to bring leaders of our party from Nigeria to explain APC's position and APC status to the international community. That program took place at the House of Commons here in the UK. So it was on the back of our protests that took place. That was the first thing that we did. Now, I'm sure you have seen the video evidence of the actions we took at the Chatham House when our then candidate came to Chatham House.
yeah,
To make it.
yeah, I saw it.
We paid and brought people to that place to embarrass him.
Yeah, I saw it.
So there were numerous acts, that we carried out. We had a month-long or 2 months long candlelit vigil every weekend on Saturdays in front of the High Commission in the UK, calling for free and fair and transparent elections. We visited embassy to the American embassy, calling on them to prevail on the government to allow for a free and fair election. Okay? We ensured that at every point in time, everything they were trying to do to bring negativity into the campaign, we countered it internationally. Here in the UK,
Dr. Philip, if I want to ask this important question about the APC party, APC organization in the United Kingdom. During the election, does the APC in the United Kingdom assist financially in the election area in Nigeria?
We didn't send money to Nigeria. Every money we used, we contributed funds. We spent the money that we had in promoting the party internationally.
That is, you accept donation.
Sorry?
You accept donation in United Kingdom.
From our members, not donations. The monies we contributed from amongst ourselves, we spent it in driving the campaign internationally.
Is it monthly due?
Well, at the time of the campaign, don't forget that at the time of that campaign, the party had just been formed. The party was barely a year old.
Yeah.
So there was nothing like monthly dues or not.
So
we had levies and asked for free for contributions as people were able to do. And a lot of our members did that, excellently well. People brought in whatever they could bring.
Meaning the party does not assist financially in any candidates in Nigeria.
Sorry?
Meaning that the party does not support financially any candidate in Nigeria.
No, in terms of we are speaking of candidates across level.
Yeah, at all level.
For instance, members from Lagos State, I can tell you, contributed to the armed body campaign effort. They bought a bus and took to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Members from Osun State did the same thing. You had, members, for instance, during the last Edo State election, members from here contributed. We put money together, and one of our members was on ground at home, driving and contributing and all that through radio jingles, through telephone contact, through production of face caps and t-shirts and all that. At that level, yes, I mean, when I was talking earlier, I was speaking about the presidential campaign.
Yeah.
Yes, at the state levels, yes, monies were contributed and deployed to help with the campaigns on ground in Nigeria at different states.
So many financial support comes from the party in the United Kingdom to assist in any candidate.
Definitely so, yeah.
And apart from politics, do you belong to any Christian organization?
Well, religion, I'm a Christian. Religion is a private thing, in my opinion. I think that we should de-emphasize we should de-emphasize the place of religion in our politics. I personally hold this view very strongly. I think that for people to continue to wear on their foreheads the insignia of their religious affiliations, I think that it is hurting our politics and it's hurting our country. All right. I mean, today, people are looking at politicians from the lenses of what religion they belong to. I think that is really wrong. I think that is not a good. It's not a good thing to happen to a country or to a community, because how I worship God is my personal relationship.
No, do you know why I'm asking, Doctor?
Yes, I don't know, please.
Okay, let me tell you. They say, where evil triumph in the land, where good people fail to act. If you have the fear of God and you are going to any office, you will not have that impression of embezzlement. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
That is why I ask if you belong to any Christian organization, and as a politician, if you have the fear of God, you will not go any offices have that impression that you want to embezzle money. The reason is most of our politicians, they don't have the fear of God. That is why you see them embezzle money that even their third generation will not be able to consume or spend.
Well, wise, I may agree with you on I mean, to an extent on that. I will say this: the reason Nigerian politicians embezzle and are able to get away with it is because of system failure. It's down to system failure. It has nothing to do with their character. It has nothing to do with their religious affiliations.
Don't you think the Western world is encouraging them? Because when they steal this money, they take it to Western world, places like England, Switzerland, and most part of Europe. Don't you think the Western world is the one encouraging them?
Again, I don't think that is the case. I think that the reason they steal at all is down to system failure. If a thief steals an object or money, they will look for a way of disposing of it, okay, for their own comfort. They are thieves. That is what they are. Anyone who steals from what does not belong to them is a thief. Now, it's system failure that allows them to steal and to get away with it. Now, why do I say that? In my opinion, human beings, white or black, have the same basic physical and emotional functionality or dysfunctionality. You have bad people anywhere. You have politicians in the West who, given the same opportunity as it exists in Nigeria, will steal. The only reason they are not stealing in their present situations is this: they know that if they stole, they will be caught. It does not matter whether 10 years from the time they stole. When they are caught, they will be punished.
Dr. Philip, I want to ask this. This personal, this good question. It's not a personal question. Is there a difference between the APC and the PDP?
Absolutely, I think so. There is a difference.
If you don't mind, can you give us just 2 or 3?
I hear people. Yes, I hear people saying all the time that APC and PDP are the same, and I said no, they are not.
Because why I want to accept such answer that they are the same is that, take example of Saraki leaving PDP to APC, and today is the Senate president.
A lot of them
with the same ideology, and I believe
a lot of them.
Everybody wants to get to power through a platform, and in fact, the easiest platform to get to that power is to join the reigning train. So I try to, as an APC chairman, if you be able to help us or the audience to differentiate between the APC and PDP, so that we now know there should be a difference, and we are trying to find out the difference, please.
You see, you get the example of the Senate president.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And members of the former members of PDP who joined the APC.
Even Amechi, the Minister of Communication, the Minister of Transportation, did almost the same thing when he was the governor of Rivers State.
Yeah, but let us look at it. And it boils down to the issue that I had raised earlier during the course of this interview. And it is this. The Nigerian political party system is still in evolution. It's still very fluid. It's still very young.
After almost 25, 30 years.
Oh yes, I mean when you think of the country to which you are comparing Nigeria, you understand that it's still very young. You see, you have a lot of people who today are adults who never had a taste of what it is like to live under any form of political dispensation. All they knew all their lives have been living under a military dictatorship. Where the character of politics, the color of politics, everything that has to do with community leadership was completely thrown out of the country, thrown out of character building, and completely bastardized. So a lot of people who join politics are people who did not understand the concept of party or multi-party democracy. And as you said earlier, they simply join politics for the sole purpose of cornering power.
Yeah.
That is the reason they are there.
Dr. Philip.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. This is a personal question from me. Are you vying for any position in the forthcoming election or in future?
Absolutely not. It is not in my horizon at this point in time.
But in future?
I don't know, but it's not something I'm thinking about.
What about if you are called for an appointment?
Well, somebody asked me this question actually today. My answer to the person was this. If I'm going to take an appointment from government, okay, it will be based on conditions.
Yeah.
And that is it, that I will be allowed, I'll be given the support and the backing of the person appointing me to deliver on the party's manifesto.
Okay.
If I do not have that assurance, I don't see myself as taking up an appointment in government.
Okay, let me ask you another question, sir, with all due respect. What do you think these new politicians lack from the other ones, like Professor Awolowo, late Professor Ambrose Folonsho Ali? What do you think these politicians don't have that these people, the old politicians, have? What do you think?
Our leaders of old were driven by one thing and one thing only: the common good. The common good was what drove them.
The reason why I asked you this question, I know Professor Ambrose Folonsho Ali very well, is in the same field like you. That is why I asked you as a medical doctor.
Absolutely. He was the professor of pathology and I'm a pathologist.
Yeah, that is why I asked you if you are following his footsteps. Maybe one day the matter of leadership will follow you to become Nigeria president.
You see, in life you cannot say it can never happen.
That is why I'm asking you, sir.
But all I am saying is this: both whether as into an elective office or an appointed office, it has to be, for me, the ideology that I represent has to be clear. The ideology. I believe that the people are the most important gifts or the most important component of any society. So if I am going to participate in government in whatever capacity, one, it has to be that I will see myself as being able to function, to deliver something good. 4.
So this is for the record purpose. I want to ask this question for a record purpose.
Yes, please.
You just made a statement that if you are appointed, you will work according to what you want to do, according to the manifestos of the party.
Of my party, yeah.
If it's for the record purpose, let's assume you are appointed as a commissioner of health in Nigeria, in Edo State, or for example, a minister of health, and you find that there is a big influence from the presidency not to achieve your aim, or from the government to achieve your aim. What will you do as a minister or as a commissioner?
I resign.
It's for a record purpose, and we hope we see that tomorrow.
I resign. You see, because if you, as a political leader,
yeah,
if you understand and know why you are involved in politics,
yeah,
it should not be the case that you must be in government.
Yeah.
If you ask me today, what is my most and biggest ambition for being in politics?
Yeah.
It is to contribute in my own way to the growth, the development, and the maturation of my political party.
Okay.
So I have,
thank you, sir. Thank you
from me, Owen, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Philip IDAEWOR, Chairman, APC, United Kingdom. I have 2 more questions before I hand over to my colleagues so that I will round up this program.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to somebody that is going to leadership for the first time?
But I would say, in my opinion, I think that if you are going to step forward into leadership role in politics, I think that you should hold yourself accountable to somebody. What do I mean by that? Accountability means that there is somebody that you have sat down with, maybe a friend, maybe an older person, that you have discussed with and say, look, sir or ma, I want to get involved in politics. If I got elected, can you be my partner? Can you hold me to account on the promises that I am making to the people, or the promises that both of us are going to agree on? For instance, it may be the case that you agree that the person you are speaking with should ensure that he constantly reminds you about the actions or behaviors that 2 of you have agreed on. It may even be the case that you tell the person, you like us to sign this as our document or memorandum of understanding. Why is this important? It is one thing that I think that our leaders are not doing, which is why they misbehave. And I use that word, respectfully. Because when you gain power, and power can change people. Power can change people. So you see a man who was known to be quiet, humble, disciplined, family person, he gets into power, and because of the new company he's keeping, he begins to do things that you never expected him to do. All right? He begins to in social circles begin to do a lot of the things that in the past he would frown at. Now, if he has somebody that he has agreed with to be accountable to call him to order, to ensure that when he's stepping in the wrong direction, that person calls him to order, and is able, they have agreed that they will meet, for instance, they say every month we'll meet once. We'll meet once a month to review and to look at. It doesn't have to be a formal meeting. It should be an informal sitting down of discussing. Oh, these are the things I'm doing. Oh, this happened and all that. I believe that leaders, whether new entrants to political leadership or old entrants to political leadership, should have people they are accountable to. This is what helps people to stay on the straight and narrow path and stay true to their values and to themselves. You should be accountable to somebody. It could be that the person that you are accountable to is your wife. It could be to your best friend. It could be to a mentor. But people should be accountable to somebody.
Okay.
You should be accountable to somebody. And I think that is the simplest and the best way to ensure that you stay true to your call.
Yeah. I want to say a very big thank you to you. This is the last question for me before I hand over to my colleague to ask you his own question. So I will round up the program because you've tried. What are some of the defining leadership moments of your life, sir?
I think that the first one I would say was when I was in the university, and I had to participate in a student administration project or program or event. I was invited by the university to represent the students in a panel or investigation, something they were doing, and I clearly stated my position that what the university was trying to do was wrong and it was going to cause problems. And I recall that the university didn't accept my position at the time, or the panel set up at the university didn't accept the viewpoint I was pushing. And it turned out that they went ahead, they recommended the university, and the university went ahead and implemented what they wanted to do. And it led to problems. The university became suspicious that I was amongst the students that probably pushed that problem
against them.
And I was invited to a disciplinary committee for that. I would have been rusticated because people that were involved were rusticated. But the truth was that I didn't have anything to do with it. I simply spoke on the basis of what I knew was going to happen, and it happened. So for me, that was a defining moment during my student years of being involved in various some acts of leadership. The second point, when I became the president of the Resident Doctor Association in my hospital, University of Teaching Hospital, where we constantly had to battle to ensure that doctors who were on duty were provided with the right tools and instruments to work. And it was a very difficult period or time for me, because sometimes the administration of the hospital would deliberately
don't provide such equipment.
Yeah, and then they will put out stories to try and discredit my leadership. So for me, that was a very trying period. It was a very difficult time. And then finally, I would say that my emergence as the chairman of the then actual Congress of Nigeria in United Kingdom, when I grew, that again was a very tumultuous and defining moment. It was such that there were many competing actors who felt that the right to leadership belonged to them. But when we went for election, I worked out a strategy to ensure that we presented a team for every office. Every office that was in the constitution, we presented a candidate. That is my team. And we ensured that we campaigned as a team. We didn't campaign as individuals. We campaigned as a team. We worked as a team. We projected as a team. And then when the election came, my team won every office. We swept all the offices. I think that was a lesson to my colleagues, that it's always a good idea to work as a team. It's always a good idea to work as partners. Because they were shocked that we didn't drop any office. There were 20 offices contested for, and we won all the 20. And that election was conducted or moderated by the headquarters from Nigeria. They sent people from Nigeria to come and moderate it. And those of us in the UK absolutely had no hand in its organization or anything of the sort. So I think that these were critical moments for me. And then finally, during this last campaign, once our party moved into APC, and we had to within a year contest for the presidential office and campaign for it. That was a very big moment for me as well. I learned a lot working with my colleagues here and seeing the movements, across board. And I think that being able to coordinate activities during that hectic period of time and we being able to achieve what we achieved, I think that that moment will live with me in my political engagement for a very long time.
So I want to thank you very much for your time, Dr. Philip IDAEWOR, APC Chairman in United Kingdom. Let me pass you over to my colleague. So I'll ask you a few questions so that I can round up the program.
My honorable doctor, I'm very happy we have a nice discussion this evening. I think I'll just drop this last question because we're almost running out of our time. Well, I've seen that you've been very active in your political leadership. Just this personal question. As a doctor, I know doctor living in diaspora, I know being a medical doctor is a humanitarian service. If I may want to ask, what are some of the humanitarian work you've done in your community as a medical doctor?
Well, let me give you the example of what we did. Well, it now looks like a couple of years.
Apart from politics, on a humanitarian ground.
Yes, 2012, if you recall, there was a massive flood problem in Nigeria that swept through several states.
Yeah.
And myself and a few colleagues here in the United Kingdom came together and we set up an organization called Nigeria Aid. And the idea was to raise material support for the affected victims.
Yeah.
Fortunately, at that time, the High Commissioner here in the United Kingdom, Dr. Tafida, excellent gentleman, we presented our case to him, and he was very, very supportive.
Yeah.
He gave us a support staff from the High Commission, and we worked with them and raised substantial amount of material. Nigerians they stunned everyone. The amount of material, brand new material that were brought from across the United Kingdom, people driving through the snow to bring items to the High Commission. And we had so much. And these items were shipped to Nigeria, paid for by the High Commission, and were handed over to NEMA, the Nigeria Emergency Management Agency, for distributions to different states, where people's sources of livelihood, material, and all that have been completely wiped away, and people have nothing on their back. That was a big moment, because that project, we did the collection over about 6 or 8 weeks. We were there at the High Commission every weekend. So we just sat there, and people will bag the material to separate them, that's to sort them, and it was a good moment seeing Nigerians in the community working so closely hand in glove with the High Commission. Just for the sole purpose of delivering material support to our compatriots at home.
Oh, that is nice. Well, if I want to ask this last question, sir, how do you really organize APC in UK?
We have moved quite a long distance. In the United Kingdom, we have a multi-layer system of organizing our party. So, for instance, we decided that we will ensure that our party was not localized to one town, like in the past where you will have, when they say maybe ACN UK, it will all be members in London. So now we have branch. So we have London branch.
Branches.
We have a branch in Bedfordshire, headquarters in Luton. We have a branch in southwest of England, which is in headquarters in Bristol. We have branch with headquarters in Liverpool. A branch with headquarters in Manchester. So the party is spread across the country. United Kingdom. Very soon we'll be launching the Scotland branch. But on top of that, we also organize along the Nigerian regions. We allow those to happen. So, for instance, we have the Northern States region, caucus. We call them caucus. We don't call them branch. Northern States caucus.
Yeah.
You have the Southeast Caucus, you have the South-South Caucus, you have the Southwest Caucus. The reason we have done this is to allow members to be able to connect directly with their states while they are functional in the United Kingdom, because there are people who want to work with the state government directly. Okay. There are people who don't want to, for instance, belong to the UK branches. They don't want to belong to London branch. They just want to belong to their Nigerian state.
Yeah, Nigerian
state. You allow them. That is what politics is all about. It is giving people the opportunity to participate. So that is why I say that the UK branch is a chapter is organized on a multi-layer level. We try as much as possible to allow people to be themselves, to organize themselves. In so far, so long as they are willing to live within the bounds of the guidelines for setting up and operating diaspora chapters and within the remit of the constitution of our party.
Okay. Well, thank you, Honorable Dr. Philip IDAEWOR. We're very happy to talk to you, share ideas with you, get to know what APC, how and what APC is doing in the United Kingdom. We're about to draw the curtain for the day, and we please crave your indulgence to join us and partner with us, because we want to partner with the APC in UK, the Cleveland Television, and we'll be very happy to partner with you over there. So please extend our appreciation to your members for allowing you as their chairman to give us your important time to talk to us and share one or two issues with us concerning our country. Our country is so great that I think everybody needs to discuss it and have a solution to it. Thank you very much, and we thank you and thank your family for all the time given to us to discuss with us. We're about to draw the curtain. Please, always busy. I don't know.
It's a pleasure talking to you, Honorable Dr. Philip IDAEWOR. We hope next time we call on you, you'll be available to talk to us.
That no problem. That is fantastic. I think it's a good time sharing my thoughts with you, and hopefully, as you have mentioned, we will be able to work together for the common good of Nigeria. What we should be looking at is how to make sure that our country experiences full potential of the capabilities that are there in the country. This is rich in human resources. That's our best and greatest asset.
I want to say from Cleveland Television here in Palma de Mallorca, I am Owombezi.
I'm Ernest Ilawo by name too.
We are signing out. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Have a nice night. Thank you.